Warning, potential hostile identified.
Alright, agents. Looks like Manny's interrogations are finally getting somewhere. And Schaeffer's pulling back the curtain of what can be done to hurt Natalia's whole Black Tusk operation.
They're everywhere, but not like everywhere. No, it's not like Kerman's. There isn't a Black Tusk bunker on every corner, but less than a day's walk to a safe house, half a day's drive between bunkers. You've got a helo you can get from one to the other in an hour or two, depending on weather conditions, but you need a landing site, or can jump in.
How do we compete with that?
You don't. That's why we were trying to shut them down.
The Diamond Network.
Yeah, we take down the network, we take out the bunkers and all of Nat's tech.
Okay, so rough list of objectives. Find the bunkers, and what? Maybe plant Theo's program Keener mentioned to Schaeffer? You just have to hope it does whatever it's exactly designed to do, which I'm not even sure Manny was able to coerce out of Theo when he was directly interrogating Glasses. Which is why I wish we could get Claire Ortiz, because she knows exactly what would work to take down Nat's Diamond AI. Maybe she could even lead us to where those backup servers are, potentially bypassing having to infiltrate the bunkers at all. But I know you probably prefer the more action-filled route. But that's just all future maybe talk. What is not a maybe is what went on in New York. Like many of you that could read the signs, for some time, I knew all roads would lead me to Brooklyn. And while I prolonged the trip, attending to all the recent happenings in DC, it finally came time to make my way home. I would like to mention that I did take the scenic route to get some much needed emotional support. But then I heard you guys were grabbing a chartered flight in response to a distress call from Melanie Hoskins, and I rushed over to greet you as fast as I could. Man, seeing these old sights just brought a sense of nostalgia. The skyline, the bridge, we're not gonna talk about this. What was new? Cleaners in the area. The faction had historically stayed on the other side of the bridge. For some reason they were creeping over, and armed with the purple flame built on a new accelerant that eats away at our armor. Very similar to what you saw at the Meredith State on that Paradise Lost mission. Regardless of why they were here, Melanie Hoskins, the same one that made the distress call, same one we've been hearing of in some of our comms, who gave Theo relationship advice, who reluctantly joined Keener and went on mission to the place that shall not be named, and who was the one that retrieved the flash drive with the identity of Cal's hunters. This same Hoskins was the one that gave us our first assignment, a familiar one at that, to rescue Dr. Jessica Kandel, an old friend who led the medical wing in our Manhattan base of operations. She'd eventually moved to Ann Arbor, Michigan to work on some broad spectrum antivirals based off what we were able to extract from the DZ. I was a little worried for her because of what went down there, but it's good to see she made it back to New York in one piece.
They promised. As soon as she's finished in DC, Bridge and her will meet you in Brooklyn.
We should tell Roy.
He'll never understand. He'll never forgive Keener. He did too much damage to the JTF.
Well, how did you forgive him?
Truth? Sarah. And Bridge. We shouldn't judge someone on how they behave on their best and worst day. We need to see who they are when things are boring. Do they choose to be kind, or do they choose to create chaos? He's an but he's not evil. He's just a guy who lost himself in his trauma and took a really destructive road back to the man he wanted to be.
A venture capitalist?
A hero and a friend. You need to see it. You need to see what we've built. The man leaving cryptic messages in January, talking the division. When I see what Vanguard and Glasses have built in Brooklyn, I know in my gut that Keener can't be him. Not anymore. We have to give people a chance to grow.
Does he really have the printer?
I don't know what that is, but maybe Theo can help you.
Questions aside, the situation was that the cleaners, for some reason, moved in on Kandel and a security detail while they were on a supply run. These cleaners, led by a Healy, chased Kandel and her crew through the sewers and eventually into Police 1 station. Another thing that our New York agents would be familiar with. While Kandel's guards would be able to secure her in the armory, unfortunately, they were really no match for the cleaners and fell one by one. But their bravery bought us just enough time to arrive on the scene and make sure Kandel was safe. And even though the cleaners made the call to converge reinforcements on the police station to both get Kandel and also carry out plans arriving from an at the time mysterious Danvers, which was to establish the site as a headquarters because of its prime position next to the docks and its helipad, well, let's just say we'd have something to say about their bid on the place. Despite the all hands on deck from the cleaners, once we took down Healy, the call to fall back came in not long after. With the cleaners on retreat and a little security clearance upgrade from Hoskins, we could then finally escort Kandel back to the bridge settlement. But that's another chapter to this Brooklyn story. And while I like to continue, I have a glow party to attend. I'll be watching, agents.